Happy to meet you.
Okay, we're going to start. If you recall yesterday, and I'm sure you did recall, we moved to concur on the offshore wind bill. And the reality is, subsequent to that vote, the Attorney General's office has raised some constitutional issues, candidly, with one of the provisions, some of the language that came in on the House side. So I think that what we need to do now, we can't just move to concur on something that's constitutionally suspect, but we need, I think, to have a conversation with the AG's office in the House. So what we need to do is move to reconsider the vote by which we did the concurrence, move not to concur, appoint a conference committee, and then, we'll rectify it and solve it. I think that's basically the only, the primary way to handle this. I don't know all the particulars of the AG. We don't have a formal AG opinion yet, but we can't just move to concur knowing that there's been an issue raised by the AG. And so that's kind of where we are. Yes, Senator Hester.
At the appropriate time, I would move to reconsider the vote by which we concurred.
Okay. And there's a second. Yes, Senator Carrozza.
I just wanted to better understand the AG's concerns, because as I understood it, one of the reasons we concurred is the House amendments allowed for more public interaction, more public hearings. And I'm trying to, which is why I supported the concurrence, although opposed the overall bill. So I don't think that's the portion in question. I think that there was some study language involving disparity studies and things involving MBEs, which has a constitutional case law. It's that part of the bill. I think is the one that's in question. Nothing to do with the provisions you're talking about. So I would hope whatever process we are going through that we could continue to support the more public engagement provisions.
Again, I think the focus will be on that one other specific amendment that the House put on that's caused some concern at the AG level office. So, okay, that said, we have a motion, a second from Senator Augustine. All in favor of now, well, let's first move to reconsider the vote by which we did yesterday. Okay. All in favor to reconsider that vote? Correct. Okay, that carries. Now we have, is somebody moved to not concur? I think that would be the process. Move to not concur. Senator Hester. Okay, any discussion now on the move to not concur? Okay, seeing none. All in favor now of I motion to not concur with the House amendments. Okay, that now carries. So that's the message. If you saw on the floor today, that motion to concur that popped up on the screen was not supposed to be there. It caught me off guard because we had taken that vote. It really was not supposed to be up there. But in any event, so now we're in motion to not concur mode, and we're going to assign 3 folks from the committee to the conference committee. The House will do the same, and then hopefully we can resolve this constitutional issue. So that's really the long and the short of it at this point. Okay. So that said, let's go back to the voting list, number 36. And we've got, second page. So let's just jam it out and then we'll be done for the day. Okay, we have a bunch of concurrences. Should we start with the concurrences, or are they complicated? Okay. Who has concurrences? Stacy. Okay, we all have concurrences. Okay, let's go to the concurrences first, and then we'll go to the list 36. Okay, so we'll start with you, April.
I'll start with my most complicated one. Senate Bill 222, Environment Reducing Packaging Materials Producer Responsibility. Probably remember that this is the bill that establishes a required framework for producers of packaging material to create and implement producer responsibility plans for affected products. The House amendments strike provisions of the bill establishing the producer responsibility framework, keeping only provisions related to the creation of an advisory council and the completion of a recycling needs assessment.
Okay, we have a motion to not concur and a second. Any discussion or questions of the sponsor in particular? Okay, what's that? Yeah, okay, so we have a motion to not concur Any discussion? Yes, Senator Carozza.
I'm sorry. So it goes to a study? Is that what I understand? Was that? Is that what?
That is what the House proposed to do, yes.
So they proposed a study and the motion on the table was to not go along with that. So, okay, everybody understand that? Okay, any further discussion, questions? Okay, seeing none. Yes,
Recommending a conference committee in this one.
well, first we got to move to not concur and then we'll go to, yes, well, exactly. Assuming they don't proceed, then we, exactly. Right,
But
yeah.
we should list the conferees.
Okay,
right now.
well, first let's do the motion to not concur and then we'll know that we're in that posture. Okay, all in favor of the motion to not concur, raise your hand. Okay, all opposed? Senator Carozza, you abstaining, negative? Okay, so we've got that motion carries 10 with 1 abstention. Okay, now we move not to concur. So as far as conferees, well, obviously the sponsor can be the chair of the conference committee. Mr. Sponsor, do you, and who else had an interest in this topic? Okay, so we'll have Senator Hester, then we need for some party balance, Senator Simonaire. Okay, so we've got Augustine, Hester, Simonaire. Yes, it's sending a message. We're not messing around with that study. Okay. Okay, April,
All right.
next up.
Senate Bill 471, sediment control plans, discharge permits for stormwater associated with construction activity and notice and comment requirements. This bill requires the Department of the Environment to review and update the specifications for sediment control plans as specified. Bill also establishes enhanced public comment requirements for construction activity located in certain sensitive areas, such as the critical buffer area or critical area buffer and floodplains identified by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The House amendments delay the requirement that the department review and update sediment control specifications by 1 year to December 1st, 2025, and adds language ensuring that any updates are not applied retroactively. The amendments also make minor changes to definitions and reporting requirements. Specifically, they change that instead of talking about a floodplain, they talk about an area that is identified by FEMA as having a 1% chance of annual flooding. I have spoken to the bill sponsor. This was Senator Elfreth's bill. She would like us to concur. Senate Bill 471.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a motion to concur based on the recommendation from sponsor Senator Elfreth? Is there a motion? Senator Augustine, second? Where's our second? Is there a second? Senator Washington. Okay, discussion on the motion to concur. Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the motion to concur, raise your hand. All opposed, motion to concur carries unanimously. April?
Senate Bill 719, Public Safety State Fuel Security Program. This was a departmental bill from the Maryland Energy Administration establishing a state fuel security program administered and enforced by the administration, and authorizing certain collection, analysis, and distribution of energy-related data. The House amendments strike language requiring the administration to provide an analysis of the availability of various energy resources and add language requiring the administration to inform relevant parties of any data breach within 72 hours after learning of the breach. I have spoken with MEA and they would like us to concur with the House amendments. Senate Bill 719.
Yes, Senator Kagan.
April, you said 72 hours.
Correct.
That seems really long. What is industry practice and are there precedents in other bills, other laws in Maryland?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Senator Hester, is that something that just seems, I mean, with our 911 outages, it's a lot faster, but Senate Bill 719.
So it's in the reprint should be page 10. And so this is the data that is collected by MEA from the various energy suppliers. The House added language specifying that if there is a data breach, that MEA would have to inform the parties that had provided that data within 72 hours after learning of the release.
Page 10, after line 16.
The current regulations. Under cybersecurity, for public utilities are 24 hours.
Okay, well, the question on the table is if is that sufficiently important to move not to concur and try to hammer out a compromise or not? What's the discuss? Weigh in.
You can also hold off making a decision if people want to talk to MEA.
Okay, do you want to do that? You want to ponder it? We can hold it till tomorrow.
This bill was at their request,
Correct, yes.
and
The House
they're
amendment.
suggesting we go with the House.
I think it contradicts. So wait, this is. Who has the data again right now, April?
So this is data that MEA would be collecting from the fuel suppliers.
So I believe that under the cyber governance bill we passed last year, they're already required to report within 24 hours.
Okay, why don't we do this? Let's we'll take this up to, I think, tomorrow after session. We're gonna
Perfect.
probably come back here and do some work and some voting. And then we'll, yeah, sure.
I wonder, concurrent with talking to House to see whether they'll shift 72 to 24, if we were willing to concur on everything else, talking to MEA, talking to others, is there any wisdom to preparing for a conference committee to show them that we're serious, that we think 24 is important and that 72 seems irresponsible? Right, but not necessarily announce it and read it across the desk, not necessarily.
But then that's like making a decision.
No, that's not what I said. Just prepare it, not report it that way, not read it across the desk that way. But then if there's a window and if they say hard no on 72, we're ready to go. And the chair and the council already have what they need to move forward on that. But until such time that as we meet again. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, it's a departmental bill, so it's not like, we don't have like a House sponsor to be dealing with. It's a little bit tricky. It's really dealing with Director Pinsky or whoever.
Can we just hold it?
Yeah, let's just hold it up. Yep.
Holding it till tomorrow, right? Holding it till tomorrow.
Okay, we're gonna, well,
Yeah, we can hold it
hold it
till
till tomorrow.
tomorrow.
We'll hold it till tomorrow. Okay, April, back to you.
All right. Senate Bill 823, Natural Resources Annual State Park Pass discounts for law enforcement officers and first responders. This bill requires the Department of Natural Resources to provide a discount of at least $40 on an annual state park pass for all first responders and law enforcement officers who are Maryland residents. The House altered the bill effective date to be June 1st, 2023. I believe the bill sponsor would like us to concur.
Okay,
Yes, I would. Thank you for your help.
okay, you're gonna move to concur?
Second.
Okay, and a second, Senator Simon Ayer, discussion on the motion to concur. Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to concur, raise your hand. All opposed, the motion carries unanimously. April.
Okay.
April.
Senate Bill 611, Office of the Attorney General, Environment and Natural Resources Crimes Unit Establishment. House amendments just make a minor change to the bill's terminology and alter a reporting requirement. These changes conform the bill to House Bill 874 as already passed by the Senate.
Okay, we have a motion to concur from Vice Chair Kagan. Is there a second? Second, Senator Lewis Young. Okay, any discussion? All in favor of the motion concur? Raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. April?
Natural Resources, sorry, Senate Bill 102, Natural Resources Recreational Crabbing Gear, individuals under age of 16 years. The House amendments just clarify that a recreational crabber under the age of 16 can also use hand lines and dip nets as currently authorized by regulation. Again, this change conforms the bill to the House bill as unanimously passed by both the House and the Senate.
Okay, is there a motion to concur? We've already passed the other versions. Senator Lewis Young, second. Discussion, all in favor of motion to concur, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. April?
All right, last one from me. Senate Bill 836, Maryland Native Plants Program. House amendments just make technical changes and delay the bill's effective date to July 1st, 2024. These changes conform the bill to House Bill 950 as passed by the committee.
Okay, Senator Brooks has a motion to concur. Is there a second? Senator Watson, discussion? All in favor of the motion to concur, raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously. Stacy, you're up next.
I have three. Senate Bill 300, Baltimore City Young Readers Program Expansion and Alterations. If you recall, this bill transfers the administration of the Young Readers Grant Program to the Maryland State Library Agency and expands the program from Baltimore City to a statewide program and increases the annual appropriation. The House amendments conform the bill to House Bill 243 as passed by the Senate.
Okay. Got a Senator Washington motion to concur. Second.
Yes, second.
Senator Kagan, discussion. All in favor of the motion to concur, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries unanimously. Stacy?
Senate Bill 341, Public Senior Higher Education Institutions Reproductive Health Services Plans Requirements. In general, this bill requires certain public senior higher education institutions to develop and implement a reproductive health services plan. The House amendment conforms the Senate bill to House Bill 477 as passed by the Senate.
Okay. Okay, I was a cross file. I'll move to concur. Second. Senator Lewis Young, discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Stacy?
Last one, Senate Bill 831, Libraries, Regional Resource Centers, Governance Requirements. In general, this bill alters the requirements for the governance of libraries designated as regional resource centers and establishes a governing board for each regional resource center. The House amendment reduces the number of members of the public on the Regional Resource Center Governing Board from 2 to 1. I did ask whether they decided to make this change. Apparently, they thought it would throw the balance off of the governing board. The delegate reached out to the library folks and they said they were fine with the change for what it's worth.
Okay, any questions from Stacy? Discussion? Motion? Here,
I mean,
Senator Augustine.
Yeah, do we know whether or not the Senate sponsor had an issue with it or not?
I don't know. This bill was brought in by the library folks. It was to codify existing practice is what it was. And that's why I asked the House counsel. And that's why he said she went to the library folks and they concurred.
Okay, is there a motion? Motion? Motion to concur from Senator Lewis Young, second from Senator Kagan. Discussion, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Last one for you, Stacy.
I'm done.
Okay, Alexis, what do you got?
All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Senate Bill 649, we voted this to conform to the changes that have come back to us to be made. This pertains to several updates to the joint AELR committee, in particular, maintenance of the filing system and the requirement that these notices or these regulations be posted 15 days in advance. So in particular, the Senate amended or the House amended the Senate bill to conform, as mentioned, to what passed yesterday. And these changes specify that procedures for modifying the amendment apply before and after a regulation has been published. The amendments also restore language that require the administrator of the filing system to consult with DLS in maintaining the system, and also a report is required by the administrator to the joint AELR committee. So the motion is to concur or not concur.
Okay, we have our AELR chair here. Okay, we've got a motion to concur from Senator Washington, second from Senator Kagan. Former chair of AELR, second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries unanimously. Alexis?
All right, so Senate Bill 382, motion is to concur or not concur. This establishes the accessory dwelling unit promotion task force. So the House changes will be conformed to the Senate changes as we see on our voting list today. The amendments clarify that representation on MML and MACO, or representation by MML and MACO, are required to be from an urban representative and a rural representative. There are requirements that are added to the study that the task force has to complete as well. And these studies include a study on surveys, codes, laws, and ordinances that pertain to implementation of accessory dwelling units. And also the study has to involve best practices for maintaining accessory dwelling units. So this will put it in the posture with the House bill that is before us today, with one technicality that I'll mention. Let me get to it.
Who's responding? Sarah Washington, is this your bill? Yeah, yeah.
Dwelling, yes, please. It's in the same posture.
That's right.
So I move forward.
Okay.
Move, concur.
Okay, Senator Washington moves to concur.
Yes, yes.
Second, Senator Kagan,
Sorry.
discussion. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed. That motion carries unanimously. Alexis,
Senate Bill 157, this is notice requirements for municipalities for any charter amendment update. So coming back from the House, there has been a technical change, the drafting, the provision that was drafted erroneously referenced section, and it should have been subsection. So that's the technical amendment that needs to be fixed, and the two will be aligned if we move to concur.
okay, is there a motion?
Section versus subsection.
Senator Lewis Young, you have a motion?
Yes.
To do what? To concur. The second for Senator Watson. Discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries unanimously. Alexis?
Senate Bill 143, it's our net energy metering changes. The addition of an added billing mechanism for utility companies who subscribe customers into net energy metering. So we exempted rural cooperatives when passed, when coming back to us. The addition to indefinitely net meter has been changed to all electric cooperatives. So instead of exempting small rural ones, all electric cooperatives will be exempt from the possibility of placing individuals on indefinite billing for net energy metering.
I would
So
just
it's a
say that
broader
amendment was
exemption.
more, the amendment we put on to wasn't it was a little bit of a mess up on our
Mhm.
part, and
Yeah.
they corrected in the House. So
That's
I
right.
was a cross file on this one. I'll move to conform to concur. Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries unanimously.
All right, so
Process.
Senate Bill 23 may require a little bit of thought because the cross-file has already, it's currently sitting on the governor's desk. So essentially, this bill increases qualifications for journey person, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning professionals. The changes from the House delay the effective date from 2023 to 2025. If we move to concur, there would be slight inconsistency, but if we do not, then we'll have to go to conference on those changes. So we have the version that's passed had a 2023 effective date. And this is asking us to accept a 2025 effective date. And essentially from the House, this was a floor amendment that was tacked on because some advocates felt that the Department of Labor needed more time to implement and to make sure that HVAC professionals had the time they needed to meet those qualifications.
Okay, Senator Brooks, that's your bill, right?
Well, we'll move not to concur on that.
Any second from Senator Kagan? Any further discussion? We have a motion to not concur. All in favor of the motion not to concur, raise your hand. All opposed? With the appointed conference committee, or how do we do that? No? Lamoria?
Yep.
I just recorded.
No, I mean, do we need to
I think
appoint
we
a
need to
conference
appoint a
committee right now?
conference
Okay,
committee.
Senator Brooks, you'll be chair.
Yeah.
Anybody else interested in this topic? Wants to be part of the conference committee? Otherwise, I'll just anoint somebody. Okay,
I'm happy to join my friend.
okay, Senator Kagan will be in the 2 spot. And then Senator Gallion. Yes, okay, that's our all powerful joint, yes. All powerful committee, yes. Okay, back to you, Alexis.
That was my last one.
Okay, let's go now to voting list number 26. And let's get through this and then we'll be done. Well, 2 quick things. If we get to 3:45 now, Senator Augustine, I may need to pop upstairs for 10 minutes and vote a couple of executive nomination, do two quick votes. We might have to take a 10-minute break, but, and then also we talked about taking a picture. So we've recruited the professional photographer over at the chamber. He's coming over here tomorrow, half hour after session, and we can take a picture. What's that? The first session. Yeah, no, we're not doing Friday night here taking pictures. So half hour, we'll come over here before we do anything. We'll get our picture taken. Okay. That said, let's go to Alexis. We're gonna start with Delegate Charkoudian's bill, House Bill 62.
House Bill 62, Land Use, Public Service Companies, Pollinator-Friendly Vegetation Management, and Utility Designated Pollinator Areas. We pass a cross file, and essentially the bill prohibits local governments from imposing unreasonable limitations on pollinator-friendly designated areas within utility determined areas where public service company has an easement. So to conform, if we would like to conform, we would tack on an amendment to the House bill that specifies that the bill itself is not intended to interfere with noxious weeds. That is one portion of the bill where the two are misaligned. And so we have included in the packet on page 2 or 3, page 3, the language that we would add on to the House bill for the two to be conformed, if we would like.
Sarah Augustine.
House passed it
Mhm.
in our posture. Is that correct?
Let me double check. I don't
Pretty
think
sure that it did.
so.
Or did they change it? Did they change the Senate bill?
Well, the House bill didn't add these changes. Sorry.
no,
Right. So,
What I'm saying is Senate Bill 62 is on its
Right.
way to the governor right now.
right.
So
They
that
kept
mean-
our changes there
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
They did not
yeah.
amend the bill
out. That's right.
out. And
Right.
so I would suggest then, because they did that already, I would suggest we conform to the Senate bill. So it'll be in the same posture.
Okay, so we have a motion, I think, from Sarah Augustine, a second to conform Senate Bill 62 to what is going to.
Well, it's House Bill 62.
House Bill
Interesting at the same.
I'm sorry,
number.
House Bill 6. Oh, that is weird. House Bill 62. What are the chances of that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Very rare.
okay, so that's,
Yes,
those
now we get the
amendments are in
numbers.
front of us, and we have a motion, a second to do just that. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of putting those amendments on House Bill 62, raise your hand. All opposed, those amendments carry unanimously, and now we've got House Bill 62 as amended before us. Is there a motion? Okay, we've got Sarah Augustine, second Sarah Watson. Discussion, all in favor of House Bill 62 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed, that carries unanimously. Next up, House Bill 149.
House Bill 149, Maryland Electricians Act revisions. This is in the identical posture to Senate Bill 44, which we passed probably in late January. So essentially, it creates the possibility for an electrician to be exempt from the insurance requirements so long as they are covered under the master electrician that is employing them. It kind of makes conforming changes to the term inactive licensee.
Okay, so it matched up, so there are no amendments.
No
It's
amendments.
Straight up,
This would be
okay.
pretty
Any
much a
discussion
plain
of
vote.
this piece of legislation? Okay, a motion for Sarah Augustine, second. Second from Sarah Brooks. Discussion, all in favor, House Bill 149 clean, raise your hand. All opposed, bill carries unanimously. Okay, this next bill we actually voted out yesterday. And therefore, really, we don't need, there was some conversation about doing one additional thing, but we're not going to do that. So this is already going out that we took this vote up yesterday. So next go to House Bill 206 is next up.
House Bill 206, Early Childhood Education, Pre-Kindergarten Programs, Montessori Schools and Programs. This bill establishes specific eligibility requirements for Montessori schools and Montessori programs under the Pre-Kindergarten Expansion Grant Program and the publicly funded full-day pre-kindergarten program in regard to staff qualifications and student-to-staff ratio. There is one amendment in your packet beginning on page 5. This is offered by Delegate Ivy, and essentially it's just technical fixes to this, to the draft.
Okay, anybody want to move the technical amendments from Delegate Ivy, Sarah Augustine, Senator Brooks? All in favor of those technical amendments, raise your hand. All opposed, those amendments carry. We now have House Bill 206 as amended before us. Is there a motion? Okay, Sarah Augustine, Senator Lewis Young, second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed. House Bill 206 carries unanimously. Next up, House Bill 230, April.
All right, House Bill 230, Department of the Environment, Zero Emission Medium and Heavy Duty Vehicles Regulation, Clean Trucks Act of 2023. So this is the identical cross file of Senate Bill 224, which has already passed both the House and the Senate. It's the bill that requires the Maryland Department of the Environment to adopt regulations establishing requirements for the sale of new zero emission medium and heavy duty vehicles in the state.
Okay, Senator Augustine. Motion favorable from Senator Augustine. Is there a second? Senator Brooks. Okay, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed. Okay, that bill carries 9-2. Next up, sorry.
Just making sure, Lamora, you got.
Yeah, 9-2. Did you get the Senators Gallion and Carosa? Yes? Which one? No, 169 is, we passed it yesterday, so we don't need to take that up again. That passed yesterday. Gallion and Carosa are in the nay. And this was, we just voted on House Bill 230. We're next to House Bill 239. Alexis, and you referenced this earlier. I believe.
Yes, so House Bill 239 is the establishment of the accessory dwelling unit policy task force. Now that we have concurred with the House changes to the Senate version, the only thing necessary to make these two identical is modifying the purpose paragraph. If we look at page 10, this is the version of the Senate bill as passed, and our House version kind of retains much of that purpose paragraph information, and it's largely unnecessary with new purpose paragraph guidelines. So we would just cut everything within those brackets essentially to conform the two, but nothing substantively is changing from the bill.
Okay, Senator Washington, you're the crossbill. You want to move the amendments? Okay, Senator. Well, it's just that we have to, we have to fix the
Accept the
purpose
amendment.
paragraph with an amendment first. And then second from Senator Kagan. Okay, is that change to the purpose paragraph amendment?
Yep.
All in favor of that? All opposed? That carries unanimously. Now we've got House Bill 239 as amended in front of us. Senator Washington. Okay, moves favorable on 239 as amended. Is there a second? Senator Kagan. Discussion, all in favor of House Bill 239, raise your hand. All opposed, carries unanimously. Next up, House Bill 266.
House Bill 266, Public and Non-Public Schools Bronchodilator Availability and Use Policies. This bill requires the Maryland State Department of Education and the Maryland Department of Health to jointly update by August 1, 2023, the Maryland State School Health Services Guidelines for the management of students with asthma. Each local board of education must make a good faith effort to adopt and implement bronchodilator policies that follow the updated guidelines for the management of students with asthma before the 23-24 school year. Further, each local board of education must establish a policy before the 24-25 school year for public schools to authorize a school nurse or other school personnel designated by the school nurse to administer a bronchodilator to a student who is experiencing asthma, reactive airway disease, or asthma-related symptoms. The policy must limit the administration of a bronchodilator to cases in which a student has been prescribed a bronchodilator by an authorized licensed healthcare practitioner. Likewise, the bill authorizes each non-public school to establish a policy that meets similar requirements before the 24-25 school year. You have amendments on page 11. This committee has discussed those amendments previously. Essentially, they restore provisions of the bill relating to authorizing the nurse and other designated school personnel to administer a bronchodilator to students who have not been prescribed it in emergency situations. It prohibits the administration of the bronchodilator to a kindergarten or pre-kindergarten student that hasn't been diagnosed with specified conditions. It restores the provisions regarding the identification or development of specified training in collaboration with the Department of Health for school nurses and other designated school personnel. It requires reports only on the emergency use of stock bronchodilators versus reports on all uses of all bronchodilators in school, meaning if a kid has been prescribed that and is used during the day, they don't have to report those. And then it moves the dates back for the revision of the Maryland School Health Services Guidelines from August 1st, 23 to December 31, 2023.
Okay, if you recall, we did have a discussion. We held the bill. Let's see, Robin Elliott here, and the nurses had, I think, a lot of reservations. Robin, could you just clarify exactly where we left it last time, and just so the committee knows exactly. Again, that's, I think, where we left it last time we took this up.
Good afternoon, Robin Elliott, the Maryland Nurses Association. We are, I'm sorry, there's been some confusion. We are okay with the Maryland Department of Health's amendments and the Maryland Board of Nursing. They were small amendments. The amendments that would authorize a nurse or somebody else to use a bronchodilator if the child has not been diagnosed with asthma, we are opposed to those.
Okay,
What are we looking at?
So page 11 then, Robin, is not.
I thought there were just the two, the Department of Health, which had 3 small amendments, and then the Board of Nursing had a technical amendment.
Robin, do you have a copy? Robin, do you have a copy of the packet?
No.
Let's make sure you've got.
and by the way, guys, while she's doing that, and one other bill we're waiting on, we may need to take up, so the whole
It's
529.
already, they voted it and we have it. We have it.
Okay,
and set
okay,
to
so the
go.
529 bill that has passed out of B&T, we're second, so that's, and I see some of the treasurer's office folks here. Yeah, that's why they're here. So we'll take that up next, but okay, back on, let's stay on here on this. Yeah. Where is Robin? Why don't you do this? Why don't once you read through this, let's take up 529, Bill, and then we'll come back to you, okay? I think that. Okay, this has obviously been one of those high profile issues this session, and we want to do our part, so we're gonna let Stacy explain what is in front of us.
You want to go to 529? Okay.
We're gonna do that. Let's do it.
So Senate Bill 959, introduced by Senators Benson and Klausmeyer. This bill transfers the administration of the Maryland 529 program to the treasurer. That includes all the duties of the existing board, the transfer the employees with all their benefits and seniority, and all other powers and duties of the program and board. It abolishes the 529 board effective June 1 and the transfer fiduciary responsibility to the treasurer. The bill also phases out the prepaid plan completely. That was a mouthful. By prohibiting any new prepaid accounts, but starting on June 1. The bill allows prepaid plan accounts to be rolled over into other accounts under the 529 program, and the bill has a claims and settlement process to address claims related to the administration of the prepaid trust. The amendments you'll see on the top of the packet I just hand out. There's a claims settlement process. The amendments establish a tiered process for the handling of claims against the Maryland Prepaid College Trust, with priority given to claims where the account holder or beneficiary sought disbursements or will be seeking a disbursement for the fall semester. Regarding filing deadlines for claims arising before June 1, claims will need to be filed by December 31, 2023. For claims arising after that date, claims will need to be filed within 1 year of the date the claim arises. Regarding the process, the treasurer will be required to investigate, approve, or deny and issue a final determination while prioritizing claims from account holders or beneficiaries with college expenses prior to June 1, 2023, or for the fall semester. Pursuing a remedy through the settlement process will be the only way for an account holder to obtain a remedy, and the treasurer's decision will be final and not subject to appeal. For settlements, sure.
You're on.
I don't know because I am using counsel from upstairs, his prepared stuff, so I'm just.
Okay, then just go a little slower. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
With regard to settlements, the acceptance of an offer for settlement will satisfy all claims against the trust and will require the account holder to transfer the account to another qualified tuition plan. State exposure to liability. Existing state law provides that the contracts, obligations, etc. of the trust are not contracts, obligations of the state. The board cannot obligate the state for any debt or obligation, etc. Further, the prepaid trust disclosure includes a provision that any claims by account holders or beneficiaries are solely against the assets of the trust. And the purpose for these amendments together was to facilitate a quick resolution of the claims against the trust. The next kind of chunk here is the delegation of authority. And these amendments would authorize the treasurer to delegate fiduciary duties so that state employees or outside consultants can assist in the resolution of the issue and the management of the Maryland Prepaid College Trust. It says the rationale for this decision here was under the bills as introduced, the treasurer would be the sole fiduciary of the trust. Allowing for the delegation of fiduciary responsibilities will provide for additional support and technical assistance to the treasurer. With regard to rollovers, the amendments provide additional flexibility with respect to rollovers into the prepaid plan for the limited purpose of paying off existing contractual obligations and out of the prepaid plan. The purpose of this provision are the measures will facilitate the goal of phasing out the prepaid plan. Membership on the Financial Education and Capabilities Commission. The amendments streamline the membership requirement so that only one representative of the state treasurer's office will serve on the commission. The purpose of this is to require 2 representatives from the state treasurer's office to serve on the commission, the treasurer or the treasurer's designee, and the executive director of the Maryland 529 program. 1 rep from the treasurer's office could speak to the state treasurer's office and the 529 specific issues. And the last item here, it says timelines. The amendments align the transfer of responsibilities with the abolishment of the board. So the treasurer will assume oversight of the Maryland 529 program on June 1. And the purpose of this was to align the transfer of responsibilities with the abolishment of the board, both on June 1, and it provides for a cleaner transfer of fiduciary responsibilities. And I will note, I cannot answer your question. So Laura, you.
Okay, let's get Laura, we've got the treasurer. Laura Addis, formerly of House Economic Matters Committee. And why don't you guys come up here from the treasurer's office for some questions. And folks, we'll start some questions. Then, as I say, in about 5 minutes, Sarah Augustine and I are going to pop upstairs. And then we're going to take a 10-minute break and come back, continue this, and then we'll go back to the other issues. So okay, so let's just get it going. Senator Lewis Young, questions for the treasurer's office.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 3 questions. One is if an account holder choose.
Wait, I'm sorry. Before we say, yeah, I'm sorry.
Would it be possible, this is such a significant bill that we could get at least a summary? I know our council read it to us, but for us.
One of the challenges we're second. I think that's part of the issue, but that said, I understand. Okay.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah. And do you all have, okay, why don't we, as part of, let's get the questions going here and we'll see where that leads. So, okay, back to you, Karen Lewis Young, Senator Young, Lewis Young.
3 questions. One is if an account holder chooses not to roll over their prepaid plan, is there any kind of sunset or can they keep that indefinitely?
They can keep it.
Okay. Secondly, I believe you said that the state has no liability for the contract. Do we have an AG opinion on that?
I did not say that.
Okay, maybe I I thought I heard something about not having a liability.
Well, the this, we have Dave Chase on here from the Attorney General's office who could speak to it, but I think the reason why the Treasurer's office and the Attorney General's office have asked for these amendments is to put a settlement process in place so that these disputes can be resolved in an efficient manner.
Okay, thank you. I may have misunderstood the liability sentence. And
Okay.
my final question
On
is,
that one, if you want to add something, Mr. Chase, get the mic in front of you though.
Sure.
Okay.
David Chase, on Assistant Attorney General and also Principal Counsel to the Treasurer. The trust plan documents have always clarified that any claims, be it against the present board in the future, would be claims against the treasurer, would be claims against the assets of the trust. So I think that's
Right.
what you are
That-
referring to.
correct.
So what that means is with this settlement process, the monies that would pay any of the settlements would come from the trust assets.
Okay, and my final question is, when our constituents contact us with their questions, has an individual been identified yet that we can refer them to that can explain all of this?
Explain the legislation.
Explain their questions regarding their situation if they happen to be in the plan, in the prepaid plan, and there's a discrepancy between what they thought they have and what they actually have.
The bill transfers everything to the treasurer on June 1st. So
Right.
prior to June 1st, the current setup where there's an independent state 529 agency would remain. However, the treasurer is already preparing for what we anticipate will be kind of an influx of emails and calls to our office as if the legislation is enacted. So the General Assembly was very kind and appropriated funds to our office so that we can enhance the customer service staffing. Currently, 529 does not have any in-house customer service representatives.
Right.
And the treasurer wants to try to improve communication.
Okay, thanks very much. I think we all know what the frequently asked questions will be, so hopefully we'll get prepared for that.
Okay,
Thanks very much.
Senator Hester.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just following up on Senator Young's question, I mean, our offices have been tracking the constituent inquiries. We've got spreadsheets we've been sending to somebody at 529. Will we be able to just kind of transition that to you all so that people don't have to submit their information twice?
Yes, I know that the treasurer wants to have as seamless a transition as possible. So we've already started identifying what we need to do operationally to take on the program.
Okay, Senator Brooks.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Laura, and then and Mr. Attorney and Mr. Chase. Yeah, quick question. I know that we're having tremendous problems with the prepaid, and I just went to the Maryland 529 website, and it reads the Maryland Prepaid College Trust and the Maryland College Investment Plan help make savings for college or trade school easy and affordable, depending on your individual need and budget. I mean, why would this still be up, knowing all of the problems that we're having with the prepaid?
Well, the treasurer doesn't have any control over the marketing that the 529 program is doing and won't until June 1st. But that is certainly something we can bring to the treasurer's attention to make sure that the marketing is sensitive to the challenges of the day.
Yes, okay, thanks. All right, thanks, Treasurer. Thanks,
Sure.
Chair.
Okay, Senator Augustine.
Thank you. Is the treasurer's office comfortable with this as it's been put together?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll move the amendments.
Well, okay, we have a motion and we have a second for Senator Washington. I do want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable that they.
I can second it for the purpose of
Yeah.
continuing the discussion.
of course.
Okay. So I do have questions. So it looks like on page 7 of the delineated copy or the reprint, that there's
Hey,
going.
Senator Washington, can I just break? Why don't we do this? Senator Augustine and I need to pop upstairs for 10 minutes. Let's take a 10-minute break. And then when we come back,